Okay, we're live on TikTok. We're also live on the YouTube, so let's activate source here. All right, we'll do cam only. We'll hide that. We need to turn this back. All right, was there anything else I needed to do? Let's talk Critical Role. I guess I can notify everybody in the Discords and whatnot that we are live and we are talking about the dang thing. Live noties. Post show. All right. How are we feeling, folks? What did we think? I know I did one of these earlier. It was like 40 minutes. I was like walking out at the beach, but now we're doing one that is a little more legit. Really diving in right here. So let me know what you guys think. Let me test in all the chats real quick. Test. Oh, did I not? Okay, there we go. Now it should be good. Okay. Let's try it again. Test. That still didn't work. There it is. All right, cool. Let's chat. Let's talk Critical Role, folks. What do we think of episode 3? I also have already put out 2 YouTube videos talking about it. So, if you guys are interested in, the soldiers, their table, why each of them is going, where they're going, that sort of thing, I got a video for that. If you're wondering about who they revealed, haven't watched it all yet? That's all right, dude. Spoilers. Yeah. So let's see if we get this going. YouTube tends to take a little while to get going. I know, for instance, Todd Kenrick, when he does these after episode recaps, he does like a starting soon screen for like 10 to 20 minutes. So maybe I should do that. I don't really want to, though, for the time being. But yeah, crushing on YouTube today. I need to do, I don't know, I guess I have to do it tomorrow. Like, I'm going to have to, the recap video. I don't have to. I can always be a little bit later with it, but Twitch and YouTube, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, the pre-show went well last night for it. And then we got, today I did like a 40-minute thing. I was just like walking around at the beach, and I just went live only on YouTube and did kind of what I'm doing now, but it wasn't as clean, as structured. Well, not that this is structured, but it wasn't as clean. It wasn't on like a setup. Wind is blowing into the mic, and I'm walking around and losing sight and all that. But I decided to do it anyway. And again, that was just on YouTube. But now we're live, all the places to talk about episode 3. A lot happened. We got our first table. We had Brennan in the cooldown basically say like, hey, somebody almost died and it's not who you think it is. Like somebody was about to just, so much happened. Yes, it did. It's interesting on one hand because they're still in that sort of stage where they're basically trying to tell a backstory. That's what the overture is, right? It's essentially a backstory. And certain aspects feel a little rushed. And this is known even to the players, right? I'm sure you watched the cooldown and them saying that, Mercia was like, hey, we're trying to power through this, no long expositions, no whatever. Like they're being told like stage managed almost, like hit this, because they have their beats to hit, because this is essentially a backstory. And so some things do feel like minorly forced, where Brendan is like, all right, how can I get this to where it needs to be? Ashley, roll this. Cool, great. There's a curse, this and that, this and that, and now that's gonna trigger. Now I get to tell you about all this other stuff. Oh, boom, ripped his spine out. Right? Like there's a lot of things it's set up a little bit. Which that's one of the reasons I'm excited to move past the overture is we get into the unknown. Right? We get into the unknown, and that is going to be the good stuff to me. This is all fun, but I think that is going to be where we really get a different experience. So I am very much, very, very much looking forward to that aspect. How are you feeling about everything so far? Mother Nerd, what's up? What up, what up, what up? I have a D&D game at 9:30. So we are going to chill out for a little bit, and then I will hop off for my D&D game. I also realized, guys, last night I was like, we're going to do my pre-show every Thursday. I play D&D on Thursdays sometimes. Like my game is either Wednesday or Thursday. It changes depending on schedule. So we might go Wednesday, Thursday. And we might go Thursday, Wednesday. We might go Wednesday, Thursday. And I was like, oh no. So now I basically told my table, like, we either need to pick another day to alternate. Or the pre-show went well enough that I'm like, I'm not going to pass up that opportunity for like my brand, my business, right? So like, dang it. Yeah, because I have it down there at the bottom. I just don't know where else to put it. I want you guys to be able to see everything and like engage with other chats, but it's like right on top of the other thing. How about this? Like, is this okay? Is it still covering the other one? Or do I get enough room here? Glitch says, I am losing interest in D&D soon because of uni. What should I do? What do you mean you're losing interest in it soon? Like what's like you're pre-planning? Yeah, so that I don't know what I'm gonna do about my D&D game, if we're being honest. It might be one of those things where, for the time being, we just can't do Thursdays. I don't think I am willing to miss the opportunity to do the pre-show. I want to keep doing the pre-show. So for now, that's just the way it's going to go. All right. Sent me. So is it still covering it? Yeah, still a little bit. I guess I can make that smaller. Right? Like I could just do a couple of messages. And then maybe I just... No, we're going to move it back down to the bottom. But yeah, if I just do this, maybe, I don't know. I want you guys to be able to see the other stuff, but it's always annoying because they put the chat on there at the same time. The top thing, just, I would have to, if I shrunk me back down, ooh, I'm getting a Charlie horse in my right thigh. Oh no, my hamstring. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out at some point. I could do this still and just move me down, right? Maybe like that. Whatever. So yeah, Tales of Exandria, what are you thinking so far overall? Like if you're giving this, I know it's very early. I'm twisting your arm asking you the question. If you could rate this campaign so far, 1 through 10, where are we sitting right now? There was so much lore fed to us. I know. And that's why Today I knocked out 2 YouTube videos, and neither one of them was my recap. Because I just know I'm gonna miss something. I legit think I'm gonna have to basically rewatch that episode 2 or 3 times. Not like in its totality, but I'm going to have to go back and be like, I need to revisit them being at the theater and kind of going over what is dropped there. And I'm gonna have to revisit this part and listen to it again, and this part and listen to it again, and this part and listen to it again. Because there was so much lore that was shared in that episode. Some metric butt ton of lore. So, you know, just got to get through it all. Okay, close that. Double check my TikTok chat. Over there. But it was good stuff. And as I was saying, I don't know if you were in here yet, I was saying to Tales of Exandria that a lot of this and the reason we're getting so much is because they're trying to go. And that's part of it. As right at the gate, maybe 8. I just saw the existing connections. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm with that. That just made me think when I read your name out loud. I was like, wait, your whole thing is Tales of Exandria, and now Critical Role isn't in Exandria. What are you gonna do? You gotta change your whole thing. Why would they do this to you? Why would they do this to you? We have an identity crisis. Yep. If you guys didn't see, yesterday I was showing this off. While watching the episode last night, started painting it. I'm painting the purple worm. So we're getting there. We're working on it. Not a bad start though. Not a bad start though. Have a backup channel for Armand, but it's kind of stupid to have 2 channels. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary at all. I don't think it's necessary at all. Everybody knows you're a Critical Role person, so you can still post there. You can still talk about all that stuff, and I don't think it's a big deal in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Yeah, so the purple worm is getting painted, which is exciting. They confirmed soldiers, schemers. Was it, wait, soldier, schemer, seekers? Correct? Yep. Okay, that's what I thought. I was responding to somebody who said that they'd heard rumors about the other 2 groups, and it's like, no, they've confirmed it. Yeah, because in their official announcement, I'm pretty sure it like we know that group now, but they had already confirmed the names of the other ones, right? I think their original post. What is campaign 4? From that. It's in their own post on what is campaign 4 on criticalrole.com. 3 distinct rotating tables: the Valiant Soldiers, the Vigorous Seekers, and the Veiled Schemers. VVV. Interesting. Valiant, Vigorous, Veiled. We got the triple V's and the triple S's when it comes to that. Very interesting. It's being super saying paint the purple worm all flash colors. No, I've already started all that purple. I am not. That was a lot of paint. Mother nerd. Literally, I was like, dude, like, what is, it's just like getting the purple on here. I had to squirt out more paint like 4 or 5 times just to get this. And it's still like, there's little spots you see the gray through. Like it didn't do it as well as I would hope. Like this is the kind of model where if I just had a spray purple, you just want to spray it purple and then paint all the other stuff afterwards. but it is pretty cool. So, and it's the largest mini I currently have. I'm just disappointed because they have already fought a purple worm, and I didn't have a mini for it, and now I have a mini for it for that game. So, yeah, yeah, they've been posting a lot of Mighty Nine stuff. I know we talked about it last night that I do think we're going to see a lot of I mean, we already know they've said it. They said it a million times. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of changes, a lot of changes. I think it's still going to surprise people. The vibe I'm getting, I think it's going to be drastically different. Drastically is probably a strong word, but this grid's for and Schemers is likely going to be Hal, Azune, Belair, and Murray. Okay. Okay. So you're thinking because of the people that are already with over at the Davos place, so you're thinking Taisha, Valus, Octus, and Julian. That's the four you think are going to be the other group. The Seekers. I can see that. I mean, it does feel like they're getting set up for it. Like, I think those groups are right. Whether one is the Schemers and one is the Seekers, I don't know. But I do think they're the ones being set up for it. And it's interesting because, like, the soldiers are going off seeking to get revenge. But then again, you think maybe the people after the stone are seeking the stone. So then you try to pair those people together. Like, you know, that's going to be Valus. Like, Valus is most likely in the Seekers group, I would think. Just because, like, her whole thing is, like, I'm seeking this out. I'm seeking this out. I said it last night, but it's so funny to me how epically... It's when Brendan talks about Valus, he talks about Valus as if it is like a super powerful NPC and not like a level 3 player, just like everybody else. Do you guys feel that way, or is it just me? Like when he's talking about Valus, it's always in this like super legendary elf warrior and this and that. And you're like, that's a level 3, just like that guy over there. Like they're just level 3s. Like it just took her 1,000 years to get to level 3. But I did hear a good point that it could be that she's almost in a way like been de-leveled, right? Because she was apparently like, you know, a temple guardian for this god. And might have that's exactly where I was going, American. That she lost some of her power and de-leveled when that happened. So that's certainly possible. Maybe that's part of what she's chasing, right? Maybe part of what she's chasing is that very thing. Ad break are at it. They need the stone. Yes. Which is really interesting because, you know, people were like, oh, the Halivars did it. They're the ones who paid off whatever, but it's like, well, if that's the case, the dude stole the stone, and yet Octus's family has it. So I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure it was Taconis. Yeah. But I think the soldiers' table started to like connect dots that weren't there. I'd be like, oh, so it must be like they're the ones who did this, and that's why we are even more against you, Wick. And it's like, no, I don't think that's right. But I also don't know, so it's the beauty of it. None of us know. But I am intrigued by the stone. I also, this is one that, who's gonna save them? Can we for the Halloween episode? Yeah. I want to know who's going to save Julian, Valus, Taisha, and Octus. Because there's no way they're not getting saved. They are so far out of their depth His warrior father was one shot by an invisible man who pulled out his skull and spine. There are tons of these enemies. There's just no way. You said I'm cutting out? Why am I cutting out? Am I cutting out for anybody else? Oh, reloading. Okay. I'm not dropping frames or anything. Yeah, so I definitely think somebody's coming along to save the day, or something's gonna happen. But I don't see it being like a straight up fight. I do not see it as them actually taking them on and winning that fight. I've got a feeling. Ooh. But if you guys feel differently, you know, let a brother know. But I just feel like they're in over their head. Without a doubt. Run for it going into hiding. That could be it. Yeah, 100%. That could definitely be it. But it's like, how did they get Octus out if they make a run for it? So they have to get inside, right? They have to break in and they have to get Octus out. And he is currently in a silence bubble. And so Octus will be no help in that silence unless it's ended. Julian, of course, will be mostly his normal self, assuming he's not like a more arcane rogue fighter type. If Taisha shows up, she's not going to be quite as helpful if she's silent. She won't be able to use most of her spells if she leaves the wolf form. Yeah, I don't know. Like, something has to happen that allows them to escape or survive. But even without silence, it would still be a joke. Oh, well, for sure. There are 6 of them. And again, I think if they like fight them off and win, it'll just show a bit of a hole in like the scaling. Because this super crazy tough family with his brother or whatever shows up. They literally one shot the father, right? Who I'm pretty sure he's like a captain, right? He's like, you know, he's experienced in battle. Literally just walks, it was like, you're dead. And then we're expected to believe that like these guys beat them. Like, I just don't see it. If they outright fight them and win, I think that like it'll be cheesy. I think you can't set up for these guys to be like, holy crap, they just pulled his freaking skull out of his body. And then you're like, they're not strong enough to beat you level 3 guys. Like, yeah. Rule bending problem solved. What? Yeah. I don't know. I'm quite curious how they're going to get out of that. Pulling 20, I would give you this one, expecting a bad roll, and the dice will have to give them the 20. Has he done something like that before? Where you just like, oh, if you roll a 20, I'll let you out of this? I haven't seen anything like that. Might have to save them. Yeah, I mean, okay, but then do we know that Aranessa is very powerful? Have we like gotten anything that tells us? Maybe she shows up with a bunch of guards, maybe her other people, but at the same time, those are her guards, right? Sassy Purple, thank you for the subscription if you were here in the chat. No, not at all. Exactly. So we don't know anything, but it's possible. Yeah, maybe she pops out and she's got some backup or something. But that's what I'm saying is like, who's gonna save them? I think they have to be saved. I think something has to happen that allows them to be saved. Or there's gonna be like an oversell of somebody's power, right? Like, maybe Brennan is all of a sudden reveals that Valus has this ability that will like let something, you know, because she's this awesome, epic, legendary elf warrior. But other than that, I don't see what can happen. And there is a lot of stuff with that doesn't really happen that much in, I think, regular D&D games, at least not in my experience, that Brennan does simply for the story or for the narrative at this point. What's up, Dungeons and Deadlifts? Like going with her ability, what did he like pushed her towards using her divine sense, right? He was like, oh, but if you use your divine sense, if you use your divine sense, then I will. And then he's like, oh, and now you see all of this stuff and you get it visually. It's not just like detect, like really like it altered the way the spell is, I think, to be able to tell this story at this moment. Goes in the area. Ooh, maybe they actually used those to help defend them, but it seemed like they were in control of like the ghouls and stuff. Probably want him alive. Well, no, they said at the end, Pep, did they not? His brother, I wrote his name out. Ethrand was like, lay him down, open up, and let's put this stone where it belongs. Maybe that's not cue of like we're trying to kill you. Maybe it is like we're gonna power you up or we want you alive. Maybe. I would assume. I mean, they're going to store the stone in them, so maybe that's it. But yeah, magic stone. Yes. We'll see what happens. I will say once again, I am thoroughly enjoying it. I am thoroughly enjoying Brennan's DMing and all that. But he ummed and udded so many times in that episode. I was like, is it me? Like, because I watched it at a faster speed, so it otherwise it was going to take like 4.5 hours. So I watched it at 1.25 or 1.5, depending on the moment, right? I would speed it up, put it back down to 1.25, put it up to 1.5, put it down to 1.25. And my God, at 1.5, it was like, and I was like, oh. Like, just the trick to beating uhs and ums, which we all do, I still do, whatever, is to allow yourself to be quiet. It's to allow yourself to sit in that silence, which Matt is good at. He'll start to describe something and you'll see he'll just pause. And then he'll say it. He doesn't fill the gaps, right? See? But it got pretty bad last night. It got pretty, which again, still enjoyed it, was still great, but there were so many. Sometimes in a row. Like, it wasn't like he would just fill the gap by saying it once. He would go, and I'm like, like, is he stroking out, dude? I don't know. It's still great. He's still doing a fantastic job. The storytelling is still amazing. Just something I picked up on. Loud thinker, probably 100%. I think the ghouls were controlled, but the ghosts were a result of the Purgatory Crisis. Fair. Agree, because why else would they have mentioned the overflow of dead souls bloating up? That could be it. And maybe Valus is able to free them for a second as a distraction. So maybe it is separate. Maybe it's being told in that way to make us think like, oh, they have control of the dead and they're going to be able to do this. In actuality, that's the escape plan. Like, that's actually how they end up getting out of this, is that Valus has some connection. She's very interested in bringing back the dead, right? Which I'm very curious about. She talks about, remember, she was so focused on Pen, Octus's pet, and how he pieced it back together, the fox, and brought it back to life. So there's definitely something there with Valus. Another reason why I think Valus and Octus will end up in the same group. Which makes sense, because now these 4 people are together, and it's probably going to end up being them. But the stone interests me. I am intrigued by the stone. There's just, whenever you try to sit back and you think about it, there's just so much in last night's episode. Just so much. But next week, if you guys didn't watch the cooldown, the soldiers are not there next week, by the way. I don't know if that's news to anybody. The soldiers are not going to be there next week. They get next week off. They're not going to be there at all. It's only going to be the other 8 players. But I think there will be Hal and Taisha. Okay. I just enjoyed the Thieves Guild fight. It was quite cool. The roles were so bad, but I love the flavoring. I love the trying to sneak into his pants and do all this sort of stuff. And that was a really good time. Bayless's entry was so epic. Bayless's entry was phenomenal. What was I gonna say? Oh, and the way that she was just like, oh, I don't care about them. When he was like, they look like they don't want to fight anymore. They look like they don't want to, what are you gonna do? And she was like, kill another one. Like, I don't care. Issue. Yeah. Maybe that's how she joins that fight. Is to be like, I need to be able to like save my son or something. Right? Because isn't it they're training with him? Isn't that what it is, right? They're training. Yes, Valus, Octus, Hal, Taisha, our Seekers, Julian, Belair, Marian, Azanos. See, but that could still happen. I'm 100% that is completely possible. Valus and Octus, I think, are together. I was leaning Taisha and Julian because I felt like the groups that were already together were going to be the groups. But maybe it could be different. I don't know if I want Hal and Taisha in the same group. I don't think I do. I think I want them in separate groups. The whole we were once married, but I left for this, but we have kids together dynamic isn't, I just don't know that's going to do it for me. I kind of like the idea they're in a separate group. I don't know how many more like them locking hands and resting on each other I can go through. It's just not my thing. Like, so I kind of want them in separate groups. Just a personal preference there. And it makes room for some arcs too. Oh, 100%. I think for this first arc of the soldiers and the whatever, we're going to get that. And then I think after, maybe they regroup or that two of the groups come together again and then they change them up. 100% I think that happens. Love it. Oh, and I know that they'll love it for the drama and they're good at that. They're very good at that. I just don't think I'm going to enjoy it. Like, I know, for instance, even Mother Nerd loved like the mother-daughter moment, like looking over the thing, and it was fine. But I don't know. I guess I'm not as into some of that style. I do like some of it, very specific circumstances. Do it for me. And better news, we are already over about 1,100 views on my first YouTube video today, and we're approaching 100 on the one I just posted. I wept. I believe it. I know you posted in the Discord. And I was like, she's into it. Hal and Taisha are probably separate tables. Hal's got to protect the fam in the city. Ty's got to help fix Ahriman. Yeah, I think and I hope they will be at separate tables. I think and I hope they will be at separate tables. But if they're not, again, I'm not gonna like throw myself off, a balcony or anything. Right now, the soldiers table is probably gonna be my favorite. You put some of the best characters from this into the same group. Like you have both of the beefy boys, or two out of three of the beefy boys are in the same group. The two guys with the deep voices, the Russian accent, the drunk mystery man in the same group with Thimble, Laura Bailey. You gave them Sam as their like comedic relief, and then you have Tyranny. Like that's a hard group to beat, at least as of right now. That is a hard group to beat. We will see. I really want more thimble fights. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a couple more combats. See what they're able to pull out, make happen. Definitely interested to see some more combats. We're definitely going to get more thimble. Oh yeah. I mean, they're going to like basically fight somebody. I'm sure that like Casimir and their whole thing is going to be them. They end up fighting him and his minions, right? Maybe they captured Sid. Maybe Sid is dead. Like we don't know, but yeah. Belair and Murray seem like, again, they could end up in the same thing. There's a relationship there between Azune and Murray. So then I'm like, I think they end up together. Brennan said the soldier group will be more combat. Did he say that? I didn't know that. That would be interesting, though, if they kind of like the groups specifically are going to have a little bit more of this, and it's planned, kind of like this group will have more opportunity for this, and this group will have more opportunity for that. Turn as much as I do. I thought she was going to end up a recent adjust, but she's really coming in her own. I have returned. Welcome, Shifter. So I have said from episode 1 to episode 3, Tyranny has grown on me every step of the way. When she first appeared, she was just like a party girl who almost didn't even fit, which I get it. She's not from there. She's a freaking demon, right? Like she doesn't, but it felt what is like, where is the pit where demons come from? Like the year 2025 in our world, because she spoke and acted very much like a party girl in our world. And so that kind of rubbed me, I didn't love that. And now she's stepped every episode into being like a more sweeter, kinder, more moral, more like all this sort of thing. And I've enjoyed it. I think she has 100% stepped up each one to that way. I enjoy her a lot more now than I did. This is confirmed. Where was it confirmed? I mean, it makes sense. Don't get me wrong. That makes sense. I just didn't remember seeing it. They said the group keywords Brendan has talked about before the campaign. Okay. American says they said the group keywords are more indicative of the flow of gameplay than the literal words. Okay. I mean, either way, that's an interesting way to break it up. I'm into that. Also, when they said, I think this was in the video where they were like, "Oh, who has like the deepest backstories or who gave the most?" And like the two potentially busiest people out of like the actual Critical Role cast, Marisha, who heads all the creative and all that marketing thing, and the CEO Travis are the ones who gave the least. It's like, okay, not only comment. I'm simply it. Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm sure there's more. Brandon purposely put them both in the spots where they really could have died. Yeah, well, I think that. I mean, yeah. I'm sure that they gave a little bit, and it was more of like, I'll figure it out as I go, and we'll bounce off and create it. I would not have guessed. If you put all the characters in front of me and you said, who gave the most backstory? I don't think there's a world in which I pick Cadigan. Especially not as of right now. Because he's done so little. He's said so little. That it just wouldn't have been in my mind to be like, oh, I'm sure he has the deepest backstory. To think that Robbie gave the most is like, oh, snap. I would not have picked that at all. Yeah, that is very surprising. Very surprising. If anybody else, it says we got 17 on YouTube. Jump in the conversation. Chat with us. What's up, Dad Ventures Guild? Also, I'm going to show off my worm again. I started painting it during last night's Critical Role episode. All I've done so far is the purple. So I still got to do the underbelly. I still got to do the spikes. Still got to do the mouth. But I started to paint the purple worm. Getting ready for game night. Heck yeah, I have a game tonight as well. It's in 2 hours. So we're hanging out, we're chatting it up, we're talking Critical Role. But yeah, my game is at 9:30 Eastern. Till then, we are hanging. I don't think I have it in me to do another YouTube video. Like I was almost going to do the third one, the full like recap, but I was like, I've done 2 YouTube videos. The recap's going to be a lot. So I was just like, no, I think I'll hold off. Paint job is gonna be sick. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be basic, right? I'm going for kind of what's on the side of the box. So it's purple with like that bone sort of spikes, and then the underbelly kind of has the same color, and then red in the mouth. I'm just doing a pretty basic generic thing. Senator, do we think more has happened before moves from full heal? I think we still need more Rook. I thought it was very sudden. In my notes for it, right? Because I was taking notes the whole time to do my recap. I put like, we saw Julian be soft for the first time. We saw him finally kind of be like, open up and show that he's not just that really rough, mean, rude, cocky exterior. And there is that, that warm spot, that soft spot. It was odd, of course, that he just walked up to Valus and did it like that. I don't even, I'm still trying to be like, did that even make sense in any way, shape, or form? Like, was there anything about that made sense to me? But I saw it. But do I think, we've seen the switch flip? No. I think it's the start. I think it's to show that he's probably going to turn a new leaf. Yeah, I think it shows that there's a possibility of it, that there's a bit in him that would allow for it. That's what it shows. Oh yeah, it's still gonna look super cool. And it is what the gauntlet is. I have no idea, but it's cool. His little gauntlet arm thing or whatever, that is cool. It's curious what happened. His data will change him or make him more cold. Yeah, if you guys didn't see in the cooldown, he said, Matt was like, yeah, I basically was going to talk to Valus, kind of ground myself, and then I was going to go talk to my dad. And then my dad had his skull ripped out of his head incorporally, and yeah. And it was like, oh, well, you're not going to get to do that. Like, this is Matt loves Final Fantasy so much. Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad Brennan finally covered that he's been cursed. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I did a whole video on the fact that I was like, Matt's cursed. But it has now been confirmed. We know officially. I think the shift will pick up speed post Dad's death. Maybe. Or it could go the other direction. Right? People react certain ways to trauma like that. Loss, grief. And so it can make somebody go more inside. Right? He tried to open up. He tried to finally be soft and to think like, maybe I should change my ways. He witnesses that right out when he was going to go finally open up to his dad. And now he's like, ooh, I'm going to be tough again. That's also a possibility. Do I think it's going to go that route? Probably not. But it's always a possibility. Rook, trust me, I've been saying that the whole time. Half of my spiel tonight during this live has been me saying they can't win this fight. It will be cheesy if they win this fight. Somebody can come save them. They can run away somehow. They can find a cheap way to get out. But they can't win this fight because you've already set the stage at the scaling being too high. If somebody can invisible walk up and rip the skull out of your warrior father instantly, and just boom, they're going to kill you too. Like, that's just... So I don't think, yeah. Pass, so we could surprise. They got to run. Yeah, I don't think they can fight it. We've also seen Brennan has not held back on showing stuff out here is way better than you are, right? With Primus Draconis, he's also shown like, oh yeah, that guy could have basically just insta killed Murray, just like a bug under his heel, right? He has not had a problem being like, there are people in this that will absolutely be able to just wipe the floor with you right now. all of that. Yeah, so I think what he basically said is this bardic inspiration will stay with you, right? Howl inspired Thimble, correct? And it, basically, Brennan said with that, that inspiration will stay with you until you use it, and it will scale, as in like, because bardic inspiration goes up, right? It goes like at first it's a D6 and then it can become, you add a D8. I think he was saying that. He was like, if you hold on to it and it goes from a D6 to a D8, you get to use the D8, right? You get to hold on to it as long as you want. It does not run out after an hour or a day or whatever. And if it becomes a D8, you get to use the D8 then. I think that's what he was saying. The bad guys can also just be like, haha, y'all are beneath us, get out. Yeah, and that's always, I mean, that's a go-to for DMs, right? I think every Dungeon Master, we've all been there. Tips on finding a group to play with. There are a lot of options. So there are Reddits. If you have a local game store, go find your local comic book shop. That's where I grew up playing. My first regular game, a 6 to 9, every Wednesday night, was at a place called Atomic Comics. That's how I got started. I just went to a comic book shop and I played in the back room in the game club. So local game stores, there's Reddits out there. There's the D&D Beyond forums have looking for group, have a section, so you can go into there and you can try to find people local. You can play online games. There's Start Playing, which is more paid, like you got to pay, but you pay to basically have a seat at a table with the dungeon master. You tend to, from what I understand, get a little bit, decent quality with it. Versus like finding a random group and it's like, a 10-year-old who decided I'm going to run a game and it lasts for, 25 minutes and that's it. So Roll20 as well. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to find games online. 100%. Looks like the Seekers have a full spectrum opinions on Thiazi. Strong bond, weak hate. Yeah. If Howl levels up and Thimble hasn't used yet, her inspiration dice will grow. Exactly. Yeah, that's how I interpreted it. Is that it's not going anywhere. She gets to hold on to it forever, which I'm sure is going to end up being used at an epic moment. That's my take. Is there's going to be like when she really needs it to defeat Casimir, or when she that's when that's going to come up and they're going to reflect back to that moment and she's going to remember Howl and they're doing it for her and their brother, and it's going to be a cool, cute moment. The way the night started off with those rolls, I thought for sure one of them wasn't making it out last night. Felt like Brendan tried to put the brakes on a bit due to how bad the rolls were. It was bad. That is the thing. I'm telling anybody who has Dungeon Mastered knows that sometimes you want fights to be a little difficult, but they're going to the players are going to win, right? The goal isn't to kill your players. It shouldn't ever be, I want to kill my players. But sometimes you do something, say, okay, this is going to be a moderate fight or a difficult fight, but not a deadly fight. And then the players roll so bad so consistently, or the enemies like crit. And then you're like, oh no, right? That's the tale of the dice. I know I've been there. Is there a special stuff for ebbing moments? Yeah, I see that, Pat. 100%. I think that's how that's going to go. And for those of you who don't know, I do have a Discord. There's a whole section for Critical Role on my Discord. We also do a live chat during the episode. So there's a Critical Role live chat, and that way you can go in there, you can react to stuff with other people and all that. So feel free. If you're on YouTube, it should be linked right there in the description. If you're on TikTok, link in bio, all that sort of stuff. So never want your players to die to something stupid, but sometimes the dice have other plans. Agreed. Fist, not weapons, though. Yeah, they were, but them still getting their critical hit dice, not critical hit, their sneak attack dice made their fists deadly, right? Like they're still, and there was a lot more of them, so. Feels worse, yes. That was a good line. That was a very good line. I did enjoy that. Another thing I said, I think I said that in my live earlier. I think the humor picked up quite nicely. I think we're starting to get a little more humor, which I'm glad, because again, episode 1, it was a wake, a funeral, very somber, and so we're starting to get a little bit more fun. Not all like comedic relief. They're still serious. There's still this and that, but it's less all somber. which I'm thankful for. I didn't want to watch more of the somberness. Yes, she's very. It's like she's so gentle with Wick, but also very much just like tough. It's like it's such an odd thing that she's so gently tough. Where she's like, "Hey, how about listening to one of your own preachings, your own tenets, and show some humbleness right now, and go ahead and ask these people to help you because you're a blathering idiot." It's like, okay, all right. So yeah. Again, Tyranny has grown on me. From episode 1 to episode 3, she has moved up the ranks quite a bit. It bothers me that this chat over here takes a second to update because I know somebody typed a message because I saw, like in my peripheral, I see the YouTube chat move over here before I have something that has all the chats combined, since I'm live in different places, and I see it move in my peripheral over here, and then I'm like looking and I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And there's like a 3 or 4 second delay. The way Brennan pointed out, there were no weapons what leads me to leave. They wanted to capture, not kill. Yeah, well, but then they said something where they were like, they can get rid of that guy, right? Was it Cadigan? Somebody where they were like, we don't know who that, like, go ahead. But they were trying to capture Thimble, I think. Yeah. What up, Tito? Soldiers will be a comedy show with Sam, Laura, Travis, Whitney, and Robbie at one table. I said earlier, I don't know how I think that will easily be the most popular table. Because people always love Laura. People are already like, they already love Thimble. You have Travis playing Tayor, the paladin guy with a Russian accent and a deep voice that people are already like, he's so cool. Cadigan is so freaking cool. People are already talking about how awesome he is. And then Sam has been delivering so well as Wikander. Like, he is really nailing it. And I'm like, yeah, this table, I mean, yeah, Murray's fun. One of them, you have Matt Mercer still left over. That's going to be awesome. He has a unique character. I really am enjoying Belair. But, like, if they're split into different groups, there's just not as much firepower. That table has so much firepower. Yeah, they were going to, yes, exactly, Merkin. So they definitely talked about being able to kill. So I don't think it was, like, capture, not kill. It's kind of weird when you say my actual name and not my Twitter, because I didn't say Akintito, I just said Tito. Soldier table will be the most fun, but I think the table with Julian, Valus, and Ox will be some of the deepest story in lore. I agree with that. I think we're going to find out a lot with that table. 100%. We're going to get more Belair next week because, again, the soldiers are gone. Soldiers will not be there next week. For anybody who doesn't know that, soldiers are out next week. So now instead of 13 players, next week there's only 8, which means there's probably just going to be 2 different groups of people, and we won't have to split all the time, which is pretty cool. Like, it won't be like a switch. It'll be like, we're with these guys, then we go to these guys, and, like, yeah. Funny enough, you're the only one that doesn't call me Tito on Twitch, at least. Yeah, because you're Akin Tito. Duh. So I think it's gonna be very cool to see them split up. Like 5 straight hours of just Taliesin, and I'm happy. Belair seems fun. I'm also looking forward to seeing more of him. There's no doubt about that. I'm digging everybody so far. Again, the 2 that haven't done as much for me is the previously married couple. Neither one of them have been, but they haven't been in anything fun yet. Really. So, good bed. Fun to get you live for once, though. Have a good... Hey, peace out, Pep. Thanks for hanging out. Less Talia? Talia? Who's Talia? There is no Talia. But on the bright side, guys, next week, her name is Taisha, not Talia. Next week, we will officially have all 3 groups, which is exciting. We will officially know who is playing with who moving forward. I think I've said it before. I've said it in a video. I think people hyper focus on her and then they ruin their own experience. So this is not a hate her place to be. Everybody has their preferences. Everybody has things they like and people they like more, and that's fine. As long as it's, based on their performance and their play style. But I think if you find something you don't like about somebody and hyper focus on it, I think you will not enjoy it. Okay, bye. I mean, Jeremy, you have to ask yourself, brother, why do you go around, like, if you only wanted to engage with Critical Role content to say you hate one of the people in it and not discuss anything else, that's just weird behavior. Like, if you came in and said, yeah, I don't really want to see too much of her, and then I said that, you said, okay, and then you talked about other things about Critical Role, no biggie. It's so odd to be like, can I talk about how much I hate her in here? No? Oh, I'm out of here, dude. Like, that, just get a hobby. Like, I don't know. Get a hobby. More Taisha Octus. They have, I like their relationship. That's an interesting one. Which is, again, why I think it's very interesting that she is now ending up over there, because that makes me think, again, the 4 people that are currently over there in that situation, she's running over as a wolf. The others are already there. I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying before, where I think some of these people are getting paired up based on their relationships. So I think Taisha and Octus were going to be together. And I thought, these 2 are going to be together and those 2 are going to be together because of that. And that would make sense, is that she ends up, because she's treated him very much like motherly in that regard. Terrain is weird. Yeah, like, again, even if he said, like, because we were talking about who we like, and if he would have just been like, yeah, I'm not a fan or whatever, and then I said, well, let's whatever, and go on, and you stick around and you talk about stuff, fine. But, like, if your sole purpose is to just join, and then when I'm like, hey, like, don't focus on your hate and you might enjoy it more, and your result is like, I'm leaving, dude. That's weird. It's weird. Taisha feels guilty about leaving her own child and is now compensating with Octus. Maybe, yeah, I could see that. Yeah. It's not a bad theory, a bad thought process for that. I'm with it. I just opened up that guy's page, and his description is, I am banned from commenting. You don't say. Huh. I don't understand why or how they can do that. I wish someone would tell me, or that there was someone to appeal over it. Seems racist, honestly. I don't understand. Jeremy. That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy. It was on Instagram. No, I did not forget about that, Andy. That is a good point, where he said some stuff about them, but that would change up the tables that I think they're going to be. So we'll see. Oh, TwitchCon this year. I haven't gone to TwitchCon since, when did I go? 2018? And I don't remember the last one. I've missed like 2 or 3, haven't I? I've only been to 2. And I'm not a streamer anymore, so. Streamer. Semi-recently? Maybe 2021 or 2022? Maybe? I don't remember. William Scott, thanks for the subscription over on the YouTube. Yeah, maybe 22. I don't remember. After all that, I think Valus and Octus will have to leave the city. Taisha isn't going to stick around, so she's probably leaving as well. I just know which direction Julian is going. Yeah, that's what people were saying earlier, is we think that they're all going, like, that group is going to go. The people that are currently in that engagement, with Taisha heading over as a wolf, those three plus Taisha are going to be one group, and then the rest will be others. So that would leave Hal, Murray, Belair, and Azune would be the remaining folks. And that kind of makes sense, because Azune is like, I want to stay here and kind of fight back against. Oh, hold on. Talk about the schemers. And we're thinking the schemers are the people who kind of play the politics and try to work things out. Azune has said, like, he's the one who, there's this new sergeant coming in, or knight, Lord Knight, to try to mess with the guard. Boom. Murray is dealing with the Octus and the people, like, booting out her mentor, Alepides. Boom. So we have, again, these people trying to take power. They already had a conversation about it. I think the four people that are currently together at that one spot is one group, and the other four the other group. Like, that logically makes sense to me right now. I could see maybe Belair swapping with Julian, maybe, but other than that, I think that's it. So I think the people that are currently at the Davos estate plus Taisha are going to be one group. Let's say the Seekers. And then the Schemers are going to be the rest. Because I don't see Hal leaving either, right? He has this whole, I'm building this theater and yada, yada, yada. Lesson realized why he rebelled against houses or hate Taz more, blaming him for making his loved one. I think he will eventually come around and have some regret. That's my take. I think it'll go the normal storytelling route, and the guy who was super tough and had to fight against his family's name because his dad ruined it and blah, 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 will get soft. He'll come around. He'll realize his mistakes. Yeah, that's my take. I think it's going to be a pretty standard story when it comes to him. I could be surprised. Matt could decide, no, I want it to be the very opposite. Also possible. That would probably end up resulting in him doing PvP and dying, though. So. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I think Hal is staying. So, when you think about the people that are probably leaving, then you're like, oh, he's not going with them. So. Ooh, I like that. He'll be kind of like the person creating it all, and they'll be putting on shows and things like that. That kind of resemble what's happening and telling stories or getting the word out via theater, right? Talking about the rebellion or talking about what's happening in the city and what they're doing to combat it via theater. I like that. I like that. We're getting somewhere now. Things are getting juicy. I bet Belair is going to find something being messed with in his area, like the guard in the school, and he's going to be with him. Yeah, again, I think that's completely right. He's at the museum, and maybe they start to impact that, just like the guards and just like the school. Yeah. I think that makes complete sense. Hey, we've gone 4 subscribers on YouTube since I last refreshed it. What kind of warlock Belair is yet? We do not. We don't really know any of the subclasses yet, right? I think somebody earlier was saying that we basically now know that Valus, Ashley's character, is a vengeance because they're the only one that like has proficiency with like their weapon or something like that. Something like, I don't remember, or something she did. Something she did. Somebody was like, "Oh, only vengeance has that." It also makes sense for her kind of to be vengeance. From the art, honestly, not a clue. Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure yet. And I wonder how tightly it's potentially related to, oh, Hunter's Mark. That's what it was. That's what it was. Thank you, Jimmy and Jason. I knew that she had done something that somebody pointed out and was like, so basically she's vengeance. It could be homebrew, but I think she's vengeance. And it makes sense for what we know about Balos so far. So, checks out. How do we feel? So now that we kind of know, it wasn't like hard confirmed, but it felt like it was confirmed that we're going to get, because everybody was wondering, how are they going to do the tables? Is it going to be like week, once they're split into tables, is it going to be like you get table 1 this week, table 2 this week, table 1, then table 2, then table 3, then table 1, then table 2, then table 3? Is it, and now it seems like it's going to be arcs. So we're going to move from the overture to like the soldiers, and the soldiers are going to go through an arc, and then we'll move to a different group, and they'll go through an arc, and then we'll move to a different group. How do you guys feel about that? So doesn't always have some homebrew aspect of the class typically has. Discussion after the live ends, the Discord, which has all kinds of awesome channels and discussion spanning nerdiness. That's true, Mother Nerd. That's very true. Yeah, guys. And the description on my YouTube video, this YouTube live, my Discord is linked. There is a whole section for Critical Role. There's a whole section for Dungeons and Dragons, for art, for video games. The Critical Role one has a channel for live chat during the actual show, so you can chat with people while you're doing it, in a place that isn't as fast moving as like Beacon Discord. So if you want to head on down, check out that Discord. I can throw a link in here real quick just in case. If they want to go shorter times, I'm okay with arcs. Not sure if it'll work for 4-hour runs. My guess is we'll always get 2 groups per week. Why don't you think it'll work for shorter runs? I mean, I'm talking an arc being like something that might take several episodes. That's my thought, at least, is that, we might be like, oh, okay, we're going to move to the soldiers, and all we get is the soldiers for 5 weeks. And then we swap to a different group. And then we swap, that sort of thing. Because again, I think that's part of why they wanted to do this style, was to just have a lot more time off, a lot more time for people to not be playing as much and not be doing as much, and stuff, and that would allow them to do that. Because if you're on table 2 and table 1 is taking the next 5 weeks, you're chilling. So that's my thought. And again, it sounded like they were going to follow arcs. It could still be differently, though. I don't see them making 13 people show up every week. I don't think that's a thing. The dynamics of the group feel like tone will be very light and funny for one group, very heavy in another, and could make some weeks feel hard to chew through 4 hours. Oh, I agree, Rook, 100%. I think that the breakup is going to make it so people who are super invested in just wanting to know what all is happening in the world are going to tune in every time. I think some people are going to be like, I'm just going to watch the soldiers. And hopefully I'll get kind of caught up via other things, but like I'm not tuning in to the ones that are always in like just the politics aspect. And I'm not going to, I think the soldiers will be like kind of the go-to for most people. And then we'll see what happens for there. But I agree with that idea, but I think they're doing it. Like, even if I'm like, could be a tough watch sometimes, I think they're doing it. Spells could be cool with a caster heavy cast. Yeah, but then, I mean, does that get old with a caster heavy cast? That just like there's constantly just like this randomness or this potential fallout to everything you do all the time. That's another question to ask when you're putting something together like that, is like, does it get old for either the players or the audience? That's when people are still trying to hypothesize that uh maybe Wick was a cleric and he just chose to like have bad stats. And I was like, I don't even think Sam wants to do that. Nobody likes being awful for a long period of time. Having a little fun, being a little goofy here and there, like having some failure, having very few people can enjoy playing something that sucks for a long period of time. I don't even think Sam wants to do that, which is why when people are like, oh, he probably just thought it would be funny or thought it'd be whatever to just make a cleric who sucks at being a cleric. And it's like, that, no, no. Don't think that's a thing here, guys. I think the Seekers, if they're the ones going out of the city, might be a great group to follow as well, but the soldiers are definitely going to be the crowd favorites, without a doubt. I think soldiers are going to be the crowd favorites. But we'll see what happens after that. And who knows, maybe some of these other characters just, as they develop, they catch us, right? Because we're still very much just getting backstory. I've tried to really, like, hone in on that and try to tell people that, like, the Overture is backstory. It's also probably the most scripted Critical Role you've ever seen. Not fully scripted, but almost all of this was planned to a degree with the players a part of that planning. Because this is backstory. So, I don't like, that's just the way it is. And they've talked about it in the cooldown that like a lot of the players are aware of things that like in a normal D&D game, if this was like session, 32, they wouldn't know the stuff that they know, but they all got together and kind of planned out, how does the Overture get us to where we actually start the campaign? The campaign starts once they're split into their tables and they're going off and who knows what happens. Right? I don't necessarily think they know what's going to happen with Casimir and where that's going to go, but they knew that they were going to get to this point. It'd be fun if it is localized, predictable. Think of Aeor Ruins. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. If it's in segments, specific places, for periods of time, yes, not like a all the time sort of thing. But once we get, well, that's what I'm saying. Is I think once the Overture is over, we get into the normal Dungeons and Dragons. The Overture had a lot of that, though. And there are moments where it's incredibly obvious, and other moments where you're like, oh, maybe they didn't know all of this, but I almost made a video because, you have to be, I don't want to say clickbaity, but you have to have some sort of like, some sort of like interest in it. And I almost made a video that was kind of talking about like, this is the most scripted it's ever been. While the first thing I would say is basically like, no, it's not scripted. No, they're not following a script. No, it's not. But this section, this one thing is a backstory and it's kind of planned. I didn't, but it was a consideration to kind of cover it, to cover the fact that this is like a planned sort of portion. It's going to be any fighting involved for the ones left in the city. It seems like it's probably one of the most dangerous places to be, but not from an actual battle standpoint. Huh. That's actually a really good question. I would hope that any group would get combat, but it's completely possible because, again, if people said that like one group's going to be more focused on that or has a chance to get more of it, like the soldiers, and then another group will have kind of a balance and the other one will have, if it's mostly Potsy focused, it might not have that much, right? It might be just a little bit here and there. Like literally, it could be when their arc is happening, there's like one fight across all of it. I don't know. A lot of it is still very much, it's guesswork, right? We're all filling in gaps because we have only but so much to go off of. I'm looking forward to the pre-show next week, though. The pre-show was fun. For those of you who don't know, I did a pre-show. It was popping more than it had, I think, around triple the viewership on YouTube at this moment. And we basically just before the episode talked about what we expected to come, what was the last week, and all that sort of stuff. So if you guys are interested, before episode 4, we will do another pre-show where we go live, we talk about it, we get excited about it, and then about 15 minutes before the episode starts, we shut it down so everybody gets time to go to the bathroom, get snacks, all that sort of stuff, and then you go watch it. Probably not much. The epic when he taps into whatever power it holds. Yeah, I agree with that. I think, people are like, oh, it's a super cool, like, tough weapon, but it's like, yeah, but he's probably kind of used it that much. It probably scales with him. I think certain factions may have some access to revives based on if they have a death relic. Ooh, that would be interesting. Was Ashley scared of casting Guiding Bolt already discussed? No, it was not, Gillfish. Feel free to speak on it. We talked about her using Hunter's Mark and how that we felt kind of locked her into being a Vengeance Paladin. And I believe that is all we really discussed on that front. Sorry, I'm going through. I'm just looking at my comments on the TikTok and just liking and all that sort of stuff. Paladin with Magic initiate is all I can think of. Oh, for her being able to do that? Yeah, that's possible. It's also, again, it's completely possible that it's a homebrew. It is also very on brand for Ashley, and this is not a knock. I'm a fan. Ashley's great. That she didn't know how the main feature of the Paladin worked. Like, she was like, oh, okay, I kill him. He's like, okay, anything with your bonus action or whatever. And she's like, with bonus action, I'm gonna smite that guy. And it's like, that's not how that works. Like, you can't do that. Yeah. It was like, oh, starting off strong. The main feature of the class you chose. You're like, don't know how that works. So I don't know how many of you also watch LaBuffin. The other they do a lot of great Critical Role content, very long recaps and things like that. Australian lady. I watched some of her stuff, and I couldn't tell if she's like an avid D&D player, like if she knows D&D very well, or if she's just a Critical Role fan. Because I feel there was one or two things that she like said, and when she tried to like think of how it could have been, in terms of like D&D, it was like off. And I was like, oh, I wonder if she's like just a fan of the show. Or not. I don't know. And I'm not trying to knock her knowledge on it. It was just something she said that caught me, and I was like, huh, I wonder. Very Ashley move I was rolling. Yes, it was just like, here we go. Is Homebrew being an Oath of Glory Vengeance hybrid? Ooh, that's possible. Hey, Lil Bun Bun, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube. If anybody else hasn't already done it, subscribe to the channel so you get more of me in your algorithm. And because I need it. I need it. Yeah, again, we know this. There's homebrew. Like they said before everything started in like interviews or other things. Like they said, there's homebrew spells. There's homebrew subclasses. There's a good amount of homebrew in this. So it's completely possible, right? So for instance, Gil, where you're like, Paladin with Magic is the only thing I can think of. That's because we're thinking in the confines of D&D, and they homebrewed something. So. And I, of course, love the flavoring on how they do certain things, right? Like, her Guiding Bolt was described as, like, this dark energy sort of thing instead of, like, a Guiding Bolt. which makes it a little bit harder. Like the effect of the guiding bolt, you're like, a guiding bolt is like this bright light that hits them and then it kind of makes them glow, so they're like easier to track, is the idea, right? Narratively is how you get like advantage on them. And then she's like, I hit him with shadow, and you're like, well, that's not gonna really make it easier, is it? Subclass due to being a child of a fallen god, maybe. Anything's possible. They also have Chris Perkins, Jimmy Crawford work for them. Yes, and they can piece things together. They'll probably go, hey, have you ever wanted to play this thing? Because we did a test run of it. Here, let me go through my old files. And they pull out some, like, you know, random new paladin thing. They're all also very capable, just like in general, right? Like Matt is very capable of creating something. Brennan is very capable. You do have Chris and Jeremy. So between all of them, they can put some stuff together that makes sense. I can totally see Brennan asking what spells they think they would have access to. Yeah, he does play in that very loose way. So I like Tour's line, they were slicing up a shadow, but I don't even know what that does. And none of us know what it does. Like, again, and all of my stuff, again, I've put out videos and stuff, check, you know, YouTube videos, if you guys want to watch them. I was like, I thought when they had the shears, it was going to be this awesome moment where, like, they were at a tailor. I thought they were going to, like, cut off his fur and, like, make him a rug, right? Because what did Grandma say? She's like, I get that throw rug out of here, right? And then they take it to the tailor, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna cut up his fur. They're gonna like turn it into clothes or something. And then it's gonna be this funny thing where when Taylor comes out, like he's half naked of fur. And instead, no, they were cutting his shadow, which is crazy. Annie says, what are your thoughts on the characters after episode 3? Did they stand out to you more? Yeah, I have said now, Tyranny has been on an upward climb for me. She was probably the one I enjoyed least episode 1. Episode 2, she grew some, she moved up, and then by episode 3, I'm like, okay, I'm digging Tyranny more. Wickander continues to deliver. Cadigan continues to be somebody that I'm like, I want more like Cadigan. I would love to get a little more, because he's just dropping little one-liners here and there that are really nice. So that's kind of what springs to my mind. I love Matt. A lot of his stuff is broken. That's fair. You thought they were making him as a rug as well? Exactly. Love that Taylor NPC. The Taylors were cool. The Taylors were well done. Speaking of NPCs, I know I've probably said this 2 or 3 times in this one already, but more people keep joining and different people are joining. It makes me chuckle every time Brennan talks about Valus, because he talks about Valus as if it's a high-level NPC, and it's literally just Ashley Johnson, a level 3 paladin, and everybody else is also level 3. But he always describes like this legendary temple guardian, elven warrior from years and years ago enters the room, and it's like, yeah, but it's just a level 3 paladin. There's level 3 paladin. There's level 3 paladin sorcerer. There's a, you know, like, but it's always, they just get like these. She gets an epic sort of description every single time about this dark elven warrior. I just find that funny. It makes me giggle. Wow, I feel like I've been doing this for longer. We're just approaching an hour and a half. That recap video is going to be so tough. Doing episode 2 recap actually was not that bad. The episode 3 one, that one has so much in it. So much in it, man. The fairy lore drop was crazy in the house with their castles. Yeah, that was super interesting. Go DM from my own game. Hey, peace out, Lil Bun Bun. I am playing in a game in an hour, so good luck, have fun, and thanks for subscribing to the channel. Give me, what is the fairy lore drop? Refresh my memory. It's probably in my notes, But what was the fairy lore drop? The part where they like the reason they sealed it off is because like the souls had been built up so much and it almost like destroyed fairy, so they sealed fairy because of the whole like the souls are all stuck kind of in purgatory because the gods are gone. Heard some say maybe she's super high. Yeah, Jimmy. That's I mean we talked about that too earlier. It's kind of like the caveat is these description of like what she was basically, that perhaps when her god died she lost that power. Like she is like if the god was still there she'd be this freaking level 20 insane being, but her god died and that's why she's not like that. It's just so funny because he always describes her as if she's still that. um Gets held like that's the worst, isn't it, Rook? That's the absolute. So, for instance, I've done a really good job. My character in tonight's game, I'm a swashbuckler rogue with a cloak of displacement, and I took the defensive duelist. I am all about if we are in melee combat, I want it to be so hard to be hit. That's my character's gimmick. Is that I am very good at dueling. I'm not good in AoE. I only get one attack as a rogue. Like I'm not like dual wielding. I have a rapier. I come in. I'm like poop poop, and then I like get out of dodge, whatever. And if you try to hit me, and up until this last week, I had never been hit from a melee attack. I had gotten hit by like an AoE, con save or something, but never a melee attack. And then I challenged me and this guy. I was going to train him. There was some kid practicing with a sword on a dock. And they made me take off my cloak of displacement. I was shamed in taking off my cloak of displacement. And the guy rolls like a freaking crit on the first attack. And I finally got hit. Oh, I was so upset. I can only imagine she's like on this tiny little thing that's super hard to get. I'm flying around and like 3 people are like, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, it's frustrating. Death of Gods and Death Energy. Yeah. House of Royce and Draconis have their houses in other realms. Yeah. They said we learned that like they each have their own. One is like kind of halfway between this realm and fairy, and the other one is halfway between this realm and like death, right? Also, what's up, Hey Girl, hey? Is anybody from House Royce? I'm still like the houses are still like I know Taconis, I know Halavar, I know Loy. The rest of them I don't really have as much knowledge of, as much lore of. If anybody has a little bit more when it comes to that, drop it on me. Give me the lore. I guess I could just go check the wiki. It's where Ernessa belongs to Theology's widow. Okay. So he kind of married into Royce a little bit. I mean, not a little bit. He married into Royce. They got divorced though, yeah? So is it still the widow? Since Faye is gone, like part of the reason that Sconis felt bold enough to do this. Fair. Oh, father pardoned Thiazi. Okay. Responding to YouTube comments. Yeah, I need to. I mean, I've tried to keep up. Like there's a lot. And this episode had a lot in it. I've said several times during this live. That's one of the reasons I didn't do the recap today. Right? Like last time I did a recap pretty quick for episode 2. And this time I did 2 videos today, but neither one of them were like a full recap because there was so much that I know I'm basically going to have to go back and rewatch chunks and chunks and chunks to make sure I keep up with stuff. It was because of the open gate. The only reason they could do what? Are you talking what gate is open? Because they closed the fairy gate, and then there is no like death realm currently, right? Because that's why all the souls are out there. Oh, Enter the Royce compound. They weren't legally separated, but that was the adventure. That's why they didn't see each other in years. That's also why Brennan said technically she is still house sister-in-law. Oh, okay. I might have missed the like. Technically, they're still sister-in-law. Okay. I thought it was like a former, you know, lover thing. It's a lot to keep up with. I know I asked. So I asked before last night episode when I did my pre-show. Um, but kind of like Annie asked when they joined, who is your favorite right now after 3 episodes? Who is your favorite right now? This is also the only house not going for the power grab in the political spectrum. The Royce are like the moderates. Okay. Is Wick? Yeah. Sam is doing such a great job at playing Wick. Like he really is. Like he is delivering Wick so exceptionally well. One would think he's an experienced actor. Wick is your favorite as well, Jazz? Yeah, Wick is just being played so well. Now, mind you, I wonder how much it'll shift now that he's going to be out of this environment. Like he was playing it within those confines of being like the guy who didn't know what was really happening, like the sweet boy in the family who was kind of oblivious to what was happening. Now he knows, and now he's going to be progressing into whatever he's going to become. I wonder how that's going to shift. I wonder if he'll still be the favorite as he kind of grows into his new identity. Favorite is Octus. I like it. I like it. Octus is unique. Cadigan and Murray so far for me. Christina, I'm loving both of them. I'm loving both of them. I want more of Cadigan because I think and they even commented on the cooldown. Cadigan has not said a lot so far or done a lot so far, but the things he has said are really cool. His like whole ominous thing about the North and the traveling, so awesome. That was so cool. His funny moments where he's kind of, he's a little alcoholic or he's being a little flirty or whatever, also great. His joke with the guys talking there's a lot. There's a lot. Cadigan is definitely up there for me. But I want more of him. And Marisha is killing it. Marisha is killing it with Murray. Got to go Thimble for the hijinks and factor. Hey, fair enough. Laura Bailey. You can't go wrong with Laura Bailey. Tyranny is my favorite. Then Valus and Wick. Okay. Love the Wiccan Taylor dynamic. Reminds me of Veth and Ford. Yeah, that one is super interesting to me. That whole like he's immediately like, hey, you saved me from having my shadow cut up. I'm in your debt. Like I will protect you, sort of thing. Like off the rip. That's gonna be a cool dynamic. Taylor's up there too. Leaf Sneakers, thank you for that subscription on YouTube. If you were in the chat, I know some people are subscribing from watching my videos right now, because it will still give me a notification even if they're not in here. They're just subscribing to the channel. So I don't know if you're here or not, but if you are, thank you. Thimble is my favorite too. I just made a Pixie Thief myself, so I can relate. I made a Leonin Paladin, so I am Tayor, but my character's name is Ashitar, I think, is what I named him. Ashitar. I'll be playing him tomorrow night. He's a big buff man. Exactly. I mean, same thing, right? Cadigan and Tayor are both just like the big, deep voiced accents. Like they're, yeah. Oh, it's person, literally the same person. And they've said that the whole time, Sleep Starve. They've been like, she's literally playing her mom. So that's so funny. So funny. Also, welcome in on Twitch. I don't know if I will say your name right. Irisation or Irisation? Or neither? Irisation? 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 I don't know. Welcome in. Sir Snowy as long as one. Yeah, that's a cool dynamic. Let me see. You said it is one Irisation? One Irisation? Oh, you just put the one on there. So it's Irisation, right? Irisation. Got it. All right. Nailed it. Irisation. Yeah, Cadigan having the longest backstory. I said it earlier. We talked about it. I would not have guessed that in a million years. Like, if you were like, all right, here's the 13 players. Who gave the longest backstory, the most detailed backstory? Let's be real here. None of us would have said Cadigan and Robbie. It wouldn't have happened. Oh, it's 15 strength with all these crazy stats, even at level 3. That's rough for a paladin. Paladins are tough because you need so many stats. Trust me, as somebody who just made a freaking Leonin Paladin, you need so many freaking stats. Like, you end up having to be bad at something. I mean, they did rolls, so it's different. Like, I had, like, you know, specific points I had to pick and choose where they went, but... Belair. I like Belair a lot as well. Super short. Yeah. Tayor not having given much, and he said kind of, you know, we'll fill it as go. But that just, I mean, that screams Travis in general. You know, like if you just said, who do you think gave the shortest backstories? Like, he's probably in your top 3 guesses, right? So. What was funny is when they gave the bit about, it's not that they said, oh, Cadigan gave the most. He said Cadigan, and it's not even close. So he gave so much that even if other people gave a good, healthy, detailed backstory, that Cadigan gave so much more. That's kind of crazy. Said it wasn't even close. Gil, we talked about that earlier. Because at first I thought, wait, is this just happening because I'm watching it at a faster speed? Because I watch either at 1.25 or 1.5. Because otherwise, I mean, almost 5 hours long. It doesn't start till 10 p.m. Eastern. I want to watch it all in one sitting in one night. So I speed up and stuff like that. And when you have it on like a 1.5, when he's doing his uhs and ums, it was like, brother, what? Yeah, so we joked about it earlier. Again, he's doing a fantastic job. The storytelling's phenomenal. He's a great dungeon master, but he ums and uhs a lot sometimes, which is again also because he's shifting so much. He's having to shift between this and that, and this and that. Think about this, think about that. There's 3 different people going on. And how does this get them to where they're supposed to be going? This is so much structure. They need to get to where they're going. We're in the overture. I know what the stories are. And so he's got to do that. But he was umming and uhing a lot last night. And it makes me feel better that I am not the only one who noticed. A lot of people noticed that. Sam was just an honorable mention despite making a fictional religion a fictional Bible, which is kind of crazy. It was an honorable mention with that. I wonder if Robbie gave Cadigan trauma post-rebellion and his Wolf Companion has a crazy backstory. I think both of those things, 100%. And Jazz also, there's no doubt he's got some trauma because before episode 3, and I could still probably say it, I was like, Robbie's, like, Cadigan's just an alcoholic. Like, one of the scenes we got with him is like, oh, okay, it's the next morning. What are you doing? And he's literally in the woods waking up with a hangover. Like, oh, I'm drunk, whatever. And then he gets to the house and stares at alcohol for a full minute. Just blank staring at alcohol for a full minute. The randomness of that chaos. Yeah, so I wish we could follow a storyline a bit longer? Yes. I don't mind some people have a big problem with everybody picking up their dice and their drinks and shifting. And I don't mind that part. I don't mind the transition. 4-page essay with a PowerPoint presentation. I love the gelatinous cube plushie. Yeah. I said it back there because currently, for the next probably 3 months, my studio where I do all my stuff is in this bedroom. So I try to hide the bed a little bit or provide some props. Like I move this during the recordings to block the headboard and stuff. But yeah, I got this as a Christmas gift. The gelatinous cube plush. It's pretty cool. And then I also just wanted to show off that I bought a purple worm yesterday, and I started painting it during last night's episode. So I have the basic purple, and now I just need to do all the spikes in the underbelly and all that sort of stuff. So we're working on it. But so it has the holes on the bottom for this, but it doesn't stay in. So I feel like I'm going to end up having to glue it because it just comes off. Like, no matter how hard I press it and do whatever, it just comes off. So. I have a feeling if Cadigan decides to sober up, he'll get a sober mechanic. Brendan made one for Unsleeping City 2. Those are a little different though, yeah, like those types of games versus this high fantasy sort of ordeal. I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen. I also have not watched any D20 outside of clips and stuff I've seen on various platforms. I've never watched a full D20 episode or anything. I think Murray is keeping her job. What do you think she'll do if she gets fired? I don't know. So we talked about that a little bit earlier. You might have been here. We were saying the groups and how we think that the reason that Murray, Belair, Azuneh will all be kind of in that group that is the schemers is because they all have people trying to come into their space and take over their stuff, right? Azuneh has that Lord Knight that's come in and is I want to take over sort of thing, and he wants to stop that. He wants to protect his guard, his people. Then you have the people coming in and kicking out Alepides from the school, and so maybe that's where you have Murray kind of stick around to be fighting against that, scheming against that, vie for power, and then you have all that try to hide it. What's wrong with my bed? It's just a sheet. You want me to straighten it up? Just little pillows. Stop looking at my bed. Magic School even stay open and what their agenda is being against arcane magic. Yeah, so I'm interested in learning more about what is this deal with the magic, because they're teaching people it, but then also being it's a weird dynamic with it. So, did Wicked Tyranny ever mention the Celestial to the rest of the table? No. It kind of where they were hey, for instance, because I was rewatching stuff for one of the videos I published today, and I was okay, they ask what is that stuff that you're saying they're transforming that stuff is? Oh, you wouldn't believe me, but just know it's powerful. It's magic. It's powerful. But he didn't say oh yeah, it's a fluid that is drained from a celestial that is my grandfather, and I have no, he hasn't done that. Because that's something that's probably going to be a larger reveal later on, which you then have to wonder. Tayor did healing stuff, and the light and all of that happened, and he doesn't have that blood. So what's going on there? At least that we know of, he doesn't have that blood. Crown of Candy had me sobbing. I've heard a lot of good things about Crown of Candy. A lot of good things about Crown of Candy. I don't fully understand. It's Crown of Candy basically a D&D game in a candy world? Is that... It's Candyland Game of Thrones. It is D&D. Candyland Game of Thrones. Okay. Political intrigue. Wow. That's so that's so interesting. So whenever I saw that stuff, that's honestly that's one of the reasons that I didn't really get into D20 when I saw stuff, because it's gimmicky, right? And it's meant to be like kind of like a, it's improv, it's comedy, but they do pull out some deeper strings. So like I have an idea of what it is. But when I would be like, oh cool, it's this, like it's a D&D actual, and then it would be like it's Candyland, and I'm like, what? It's Candyland, like it felt weird to me. And then they did, the other one was like Fantasy High. They're in like high school. And I'm like, what? And so I never got into it. I'm sure. But the thing is, when I see clips from it, whether it's on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, whatever, it's always really funny, right? Like they're always so good. Or like more than Divine Sorcerer. I think that would be a hard sell. I think it is just about locked in that he's a Divine Sorcerer. Divine Soul Sorcerer. I mean, they really specifically were like, your power comes from your blood, the blood of the Celestial, not poetry and prayer and stuff. So they're like, you're not a cleric, and it comes from your blood, the Celestial blood makes me think Divine Soul. Because he didn't like take a pact, like he doesn't have a patron, Yeah, again, I'm sure it's a blast. I've since opened my mind up to more stuff. I also, when I first came back into D&D, having played it, as like a teenager and all that sort of stuff, I was very much like, my games are like the basics. I want player's handbook species. You're not bringing crazy monsters and playing these wild stuff. You're a dwarf, you're an elf, you're a human, you're like that sort of thing. I was very much like, this is the kind of game I play, this is the whatever, because I wanted to play in a traditional, fantasy world game. And then after you do that for a while, you're more open. And now like I'll play in games that have a little more of the wild stuff, and I'll try stuff out. And I've played in like futuristic, or not future, but like modern one shots where we're like literally playing people. Like it would be me in a campaign or something else. And I've tried Shadowrun, and I've tried like different stuff. But at that time, when I first saw it, I was like, I'm not watching candy people play D&D. So. Having to be canned is you have my heart of spinning your disbelief before watching D20. I love D20, but also that not everyone is the same person. Not everyone needs to love it. Yeah, I think I would enjoy it. I do think I would enjoy it. I think at the time when I was getting back into D&D, I was very much like, I want a fantasy basic whatever. And the game that I was running at that time, those were my parameters. I was like, guys, you're going to play stuff from the player's handbook. Like, I know there's all sorts of stuff that'll come out, and you can be a bird man and a rabbit person and whatever, but that's not in my game. My world has this. This is what it is. Since then, it has expanded. and I've allowed more things, and I've opened up, and yada yada yada. I still haven't allowed guns. You don't have muskets and stuff, but yeah, and airships. There's no airships, but maybe there will be a game sometime with airships, and maybe they'll develop it. Maybe some, but right now there aren't. Again, I've heard nothing but great things about D20 though. Smacks, you said, I originally was thinking his patron could end up being some sort of demonic pact, but that was for this last episode. We'll see where it goes. I would be shocked if he was a Celestial Warlock. Shocked. And maybe that's what they're going for. And maybe it will be this massive twist where we find something new out, but no, right now it definitely seems Divine Soul. Now it's from Jimmy Kimmel. What, the D20 thing does? The Candyland? Just a brief request for once this live ends, guys. If you haven't watched, I've put out 2 new videos today. One is about who Brennan revealed he was closest to killing in last night's episode. Who was the closest to death? It may surprise you if you haven't already watched the cooldown. That video is out, so if you guys will watch that, give it a thumbs up. Watch time is important. It's only 2.5 minutes long. Even if you don't want to watch it, let it play on another tab and just, do something else. And then I did another one talking about the soldiers table. I go over why each of them is in this group. So I break down like, why is Thimble in it? Revenge. She wants revenge on Casimir for doing what he did. Why is Teor there? Revenge, but also his brother, right? He wants to make sure his brother's safe. And I kind of give each of the reasons why they're going, where they're going, what we know about it. So there's a video on that as well. It's 5 minutes long. But if you guys will watch that, give it a thumbs up. All of that is helpful. On YouTube, watch time is king. So, my only request is if you guys do decide to click in my videos, let them play. Let them play through, at least over halfway. That helps tremendously. That is my tiny request. Leaf, just click live. You'll miss conversation, but if you click live at the bottom, it'll catch you up to the current moment. So yeah, but oh my god, he's gonna hear this in 13 minutes. Someone said, hey, peace out, Christina, have a good time at work. The cooldowns are a must watch. Oh, they're really good. They've revealed a lot. I think anybody who doesn't realize, and I hate saying this because I feel like it's ruffling feathers or it's like accusatory, it's whatever. Anybody who isn't 100% sure that this is a very planned and structured thing, and it's not as like, it's not scripted, but it's not planned, whatever. If you watch the cooldowns, they basically tell you that. Like, they have said it multiple different ways at multiple different times. Like, we knew these story beats were there. The players know, I know, we're doing this, that sort of thing. We also get a couple looks. There's some lore drops sometimes. So they've dropped some lore. The cooldowns are amazing. Because they didn't want to miss anything. Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Just watch it at a faster speed, dude. You'll catch up. Right? Just go back and then play from 13 minutes ago at 2 times speed. I talk really fast sometimes though, so you might lose it here and there. Few of the cooldowns are a must watch. Yep. We'll watch them after I catch the second half of the episode on Monday. Yeah, buddy. So bad because I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, agree. I seriously consider it a Beacon membership now. I enjoy it because otherwise, what's up, Baron? Now, so welcome back. I know for you, Mother Nerd, it's not as bad because you're watching Pacific time. So, like, even when it takes 4.5 hours for the episode, it's still not insanely late for you. Whereas for like East Coast, I have to watch it at 1.25 or 1.5. Otherwise, it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning if I'm not done. And I can't do that on Twitch or YouTube. So I end up doing that. One of the other benefits of me doing it, watching it at a faster speed, is because I'm taking notes, sometimes I need to go back and I'm not losing a bunch of time. Right? So if I'm watching it at 1.25 or 1.5 for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then I'm like taking notes on a certain part and it goes, I can pause or go back 10, 15 seconds and I'm not now behind stuff. Like I'm still, that sort of thing. Whereas if I was pausing and trying to catch notes and do all that, and I was watching it at regular speed, something that's 4 hours is now 4 hours and 15 minutes, 4 hours and 20 minutes. And so Beacon is great. And it allows me for, again, when I need clips, when I need to review something, when I need to watch something again, I can't do that until Monday if I do not have some sort of subscription somewhere. And so Beacon allows me to do that. So because I'm making content around it, because I've been doing all that, Beacon is without a doubt the right thing. And I'm watching Friday through the day while working, more like this. Yeah. And that's they do that 9 a.m. rebroadcast. So that works and allows people the chance to continue to tune in or to catch it at that moment. So that's always nice too. Any thoughts about subclass for the Paladins of the party? I know we were leaning Mechanical Noodle towards, because of the Hunter's Mark, that Valus was Vengeance, but then people pointed out that the Guiding Bolt was there. That's kind of confusing, so it could be a homebrew. That combat was a little rough. It felt like Brendan was trying to hint at the other to find it. Well, yeah, he was trying to hint like, hey, you guys don't actually have to like full out this combat. Like, they don't have weapons. They don't have weapons. They are fighting with their fists, like that sort of thing. And like, the people weren't catching on. And then Vela showed up and was like, I kill him. And then she was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Well, they seem like they don't really want to fight anymore. What do you want to do? And she's like, I kill him. And you're just like, okay. Like, Valus was like, I don't care about them. I kill them. And it was like, okay. Yeah. I was confused at the end. Do Valus and Taisha have a connection to something? Apparently. Apparently, very much so. Because, what is it? Throughout this, Taisha has heard this whole Nightingale thing. And then we were getting... Now that she, like, heard it, and it, like, showed, like, Valus was there, and then Valus was seeing that, and she felt this thing. And so there's something with them. I don't know if somebody thinks something different, but yeah. I'm in the Philippines, so the live shows are at Friday 10 a.m. So can't really get into it working. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I worked with a lot of people for the Philippines for a while. When I was working at One Esports, they're based in Singapore, but we had like a Philippines website. We had the normal Singapore site. We had a Vietnam site. We had a Malaysia site, I think. Gonna be one. Yeah, that whole scene was kind of crazy. Is worshipped. Well, I don't know if they've outright said who it was, but it comes across as tied to like the death one. Like her whole thing is very like goth and death and all that sort of thing. So it feels like there might be something there, but then you're like, okay, well, how does that really connect to Taisha? Because she's more of like, nature and all that sort of stuff, and the whole druidic thing. But it's intriguing because there seems that connection there, which is, again, another reason why I think that group, everybody who is currently at the Divinos estate, the Royce estate, whatever, I think that's the other group. I think that's the Seekers. I think that is Valus, Taisha, Julian, Octus. I think that's one of the groups. We'll find out for sure next Thursday, but I think that's one of the groups. Need to roll dice, yeah. Well, I mean, they're somewhat on a time crunch because they're trying to get through all these stories and split the tables up and all that stuff. So the goddess of nature, I think. Velus's or Taisha's? Got an entry for the captain of the gods out. They said as they're explaining the black misty step. Oh, okay. Well, that would make more sense then if Salandriel is Velus's and it's like the goddess of life or nature, and then Taisha has this connection to it. That would kind of explain that. Operating under the theory that each of the Sundered houses corresponds to a cleric domain. Well, now we figured out why they have some sort of connection. And there's something definitely with, because Velus was so interested in Octus's ability to piece the fox back together and bring it back to life. Leaf, I don't know. I'm still like kind of confused about where the whole magic thing falls in this, because they have the school for teaching and doing all that stuff, but then there's like the people who have it. There's like the Sork Paladin. Yeah, I don't like the whole how does that stuff work in there. I'm interested in. Maybe it feels like because they took out the gods, now they're trying to be gods. I don't know. I think people, I mean, they vie for power, right? If there's a power vacuum, people try to fill it. And so I think, you know, like Dakonos wants to be in power and yada yada. Halabar wants to be still, you know, maintain their position after they felt they had lost it when the Oberlay or whatever it's called ended. So there's definitely the folks for power. Can't wait to see it play out. I'm with you, Aster. I think there's a lot of interesting things, a lot of strings to be pulled in this. I'm kind of like wondering how much it's going to slow down, because we've moved very fast right now, right? A lot is happening. I'm wondering after next week how much it slows down, because this would be a tough pace to keep up for a long period of time. I mean, we'd just be learning so much, and so much ground would be being broken constantly, that I imagine this is like, right? Like that's how I'm thinking. It's going to slow down. If they become gods to gain advantage of the power slots. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're vying for power, but I don't know that they're like necessarily going to be gods. The question is, what happened to all those powerful godly weapons and artifacts? Some of them are still out there. I think, didn't they? I would have to go back and clip it, but it sounded like when Brennan and Hal were talking about his Liar's Blade, that it was made like the Loy steel or the Loy, like that stuff they found. So it's like a potentially god-killing weapon, right? So there's that. Also, what's up, Boji? Welcome in. The sorcerer's houses get their powers through their bloodlines. Yep. The wizards get their powers through their hard work. Yeah, schooling, they learn it. It's like a marginalizing tool for power to be distributed. Oh, so yeah, that's a way to view it. It's like, oh, if we have the people who have it in their blood, then we maintain the magical power if we cut the people out who learn. Don't let people learn magic, because then they can compete with those of us who have it naturally. Right? We're trying to keep people from getting what we have. We don't want them to be our equals. It's a slowdown once the tables separate, and I expect full survival mode for the trip to the north. Yeah. He definitely, Baronessa Cadigan sold me on it being a tough thing. He did. Oh my god, that scene was so good. That scene was so good with him being like, there ain't nothing out there that's, you know, the drama in your cities and whatever. It's, you know, it's real out there. So I was like, oh, here we go. That was so good. You city folk. It's like, ooh. I was touched by the lights for Paladin's public thing or ally. So that's what I was saying earlier, Leaf, is so now we know how this sort of power and healing energy and the light got to Wick. But how do these other people have it? Because you have 3 other paladins in there. We know one of them kind of has, you know, she was like a guardian of like a temple for a god or something, right? Velus. But then it's like, okay, how did Tayor use the light? Where does he get his from, right? If it's not from prayer and all that sort of stuff, or being a cleric or whatever, how did that happen? Yeah. These are the questions. Is actually human. I don't know. Azune is an interesting one. I feel like he's kind of been in the background most of the time. We haven't gotten as much of him as like main character yet. I don't think we've gotten enough. Like even though he's been in several scenes, he's kind of been a background character so far. There's been like two times, like the start, right, the opening where he was like talking to Thiazi, and then his thing with Murray. Other than that, he's been kind of background in a lot of situations. I'd like to see more of him. Einfasten is allied with other houses or are making their own moves for power. I almost wrote that name down and I'm trying to place it. Was he the Lord Knight guy or was he the guy? I remember being like, I'm going to write that down. Then I was like, I'm not typing that name in my phone. Autocorrect's going to ruin me the whole time. So remind me the Einfassen thing. So no, also basic conversation Lowe's in episode 1. Oh, I'd have to go back and listen to that. I don't think I clocked that. When's taking over law enforcement? Okay, so yeah, he was the guy who came in and told, or said this stuff to Azune or whatever. I would think they're a part of a larger plan, because otherwise it's just like so many people doing the same thing at the same time. Like the people that are trying to do the whole school thing and like change that, while the other people are taking over the guard at the same time and doing that. Like it just feels like, is everybody really trying to do this at the same time, or is it like a structured sort of takeover? I lean towards more of the structured takeover, but I think it's completely possible that it's just people see there's openings, and when they see other people going for something, like, wait, how do we get ours? And like, oh well, we'll take over this segment, right? We'll have complete control over this sector of the city. Or I've got a feeling. Ooh. Consolidation power. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Is like they're consolidating it, and it's like one main power that's like also got control over the people who are trying to do the school thing and the people who are trying to do the guard thing, and it's all like going up to one person at the top. But who knows? Who's going to handle the death of Julian's father? The bodies of Valus did. Framed murder. Hand away the man's death. Court's loss. That's also really interesting, and it's a matter of, do we get that if they stay in the city? Like, who's going to stay in the city, and how do Because if the idea is that two groups are going to go in different places, but one group's going to stay in the city, which we don't know, maybe two groups are staying in the city. But if it's just one group stays in the city, I think it's Hal's group with Azuna and Murray. I think those are the three who potentially stay in the city with Belair. That's not Julian or Valus, which means maybe they also flee, but they go in like a different direction. They have a different goal to try to figure things out. Maybe they go straight to like the Taconis thing, or that maybe they're the ones who are like, something's going on with the castles between the realms, and they go there instead, right? So yeah, a lot of doors are open. A lot of doors are open right now. But guys, I have a D&D game in 27 minutes, and I want to kind of chill for a little bit. We've been doing this for 2 hours 11 minutes, so I'm gonna call it here. Thank you guys for tuning in. May go live again at some point, maybe not for this in particular, maybe not, but I will be doing another pre-show next week. So if you guys didn't know, before episode 3, I did a pre-show. I was live for an hour. We all talked about it. It was a really good time. There were a lot of people in here. It was a blast. I'm going to do it again for episode 4. I'll be doing it a little bit earlier. I think I'm going to start maybe around 8 instead of 8:45. So come on in, hang out with us. My Discord also is linked in the description over on YouTube. I'll throw it in the chat. We talk about stuff in there. Come hang out, get all the notifications, and know when things are happening. I put out 2 videos today. Go check them out. Thank you guys for hanging. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you guys next time. Episode Explain Lore. I have Ingrid. On my YouTube, I have a recap of episode 2. I'll be doing another one of episode 3. If you want to go check it out, Ingrid. They are also there on TikTok. But peace out, guys. Thanks for hanging.